Most times I'm like, is this not challenge abuse? Am I not too small to go through all of this? Hi guys, you're welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Rejoice. In this channel I post videos based on faith, lifestyle and motivation, and I also upload vlogs. So today I will be taking you on a journey. I will just be sharing with you a part of my journey, like what I've been through, what really happened to me, right? Like, I think I should just start this series of telling you my story and just encouraging you, because I feel like there are a lot of persons going through a lot and my story can really help you. Just sharing with you how I was able to overcome, how God saw me through, can really help you. So today I'll be telling you a story of how I had an accident when I was just 7 years old. The things I went through as a 7 year old, like, it was terrible. Let's get right to this video. So I was just in basic one when I had a terrible accident. I don't know how to relate it to the American standard. I mean, if you're a Nigerian, you know what basic one means. I was just 7 years old. Let me just see. I don't know how they grade it, in American standard, but after nursery school, the next thing, primary one, what we call it in Nigeria. Just go with my age. If you cannot get the class I'm talking about, just go with my age. I was just 7 years old when I had a terrible accident. And okay, I'm just going to try to tell you in details what happened and what I went through, how I was able to overcome all of that, how it affected me. That was part of my childhood trauma. I mean, so this was the day. I cannot remember the particular day. I cannot remember the month, but I know that I think it was in 2009. We were coming back from school. That I schooled in Air Force Primary School, Port Harcourt. If you stay in Rivers State, Nigeria, basically in Port Harcourt, you probably might know Air Force Primary. You should know Air Force Primary School. Yeah, you should. That's in Air Force big base. The barrack there, they had primary school and they had a secondary school there. And so yeah, when I was just in primary one, we are just coming back from school. We all come back from school together. I mean, those people who stay around you, right? Your neighbors. I had a lot of neighbors attending the same school, and so we all come back from school together. And there's a highway there. Definitely you must cross the highway to go to that school, except you stay in the Air Force base, except you live in the barrack. And so normally there are always soldiers guiding, because Nigerians do not respect, should I say respect, or how do I put it, but they don't go with the traffic lights and traffic regulations, all of that. Most of them default the rules, and that's a very bad thing that we should look into. So more than even having the traffic regulators, like those lights, green, I don't even know, green is what, red is what, let's not go there, I don't want to embarrass myself. But yeah, so there still needed to be someone guiding, someone stopping, someone, we can now come, I've forgotten what they call them anyways, but basically in that road, because of the primary school people, they had soldiers who always stayed there, and like most times just stop the cars when we need to cross, so we can just cross freely, you understand, right? So on this particular day, there was absolutely no soldier there. There are days like that actually, but this time it was so unfortunate, and that was when I had an accident. There's this neighbor of mine, a girl and a boy. They are siblings, and so that day when we were coming back, I actually held the girl and my sister held the boy. I mean, we're that little. I was 7, my sister should be about 8, and the girl should be about 5. Maybe the boy should be like 4 years. I can't really tell. By now I was 7, and so I think I was older than the girl with like 2 years. So I held the girl who was 5. And unfortunately, the both of us had an accident. A trailer was coming. I mean, trailers, I think in Nigeria there should be separate roads for trailers, because even up to now I know that those traumas are still here. I'm still trying to heal because I'm still afraid of them. So this trailer was coming with speed. I can't tell if this trailer really hit us or not, but I know that fear can do a lot, and we were just unconscious. We just fell unconscious. My sister and the brother of the girl had already crossed, so it was just me and the girl. The only thing I can remember is that I fell down. I don't know if this trailer really hit us, but I just remember that I fell down, and the next time I saw myself was inside the car, being like they were taking us to our school hospital, right? So I was unconscious. It was later I knew that I was unconscious, because when people were like, when I became conscious and I started hearing the stories, I was like, I can't really tell when did this happen, you know. I can't really tell when it happened. So I just remember that when I was inside the car with the girl, we're going to the hospital. I was just trying to regain consciousness, and I just remember seeing my sister rolling on the floor. At that time, every car had stopped, you know, because a scene just happened. Every car stopped, and I saw my sister rolling on the floor crying, and she was like, oh, my sister. I was like, it was so emotional to me to see my sister cry for me, because you know, when it was just at the point of you don't even know if this person is going to survive. I was too small to go through that kind of thing. So when we went to the hospital, some persons went and called our parents, basically our moms, like my mom and the girl's mom, and they came. When I saw my mom, I mean, she cried, and the girl's mom was crying. It was so emotional. I was crying really, because I was in pain. I was in pain, guys. I dislocated my bone, my right hand. If you see this bone actually shifted to here. And one thing I know is that if you ever dislocate your bone, it cannot go back to normal. No matter what you do, it cannot go back to normal. It will try to change, it will try to get better, but not normal, you know. So it took me we went to like three people. It took 3 people to even get the bone to where it is now. And up to now, I still have issues with it sometimes, but God has been faithful. So after we went to the hospital, I learned that the driver of that trailer was trying to run away, but they caught him. I was like, really, you want to do this and run away? So they caught him, and he paid for the treatment and some of other things. Then the school hospital, because they just did some minor first aid, you know, they referred us to a bigger hospital. If you stay around Port Harcourt, my one teaching hospital, I just heard that it's no longer there. Like, I think they are renovating it or something like that. They took us there, and when I went to my one teaching hospital the next day, you know, with my bandage, my hand was just like this because it could not come down and all of that stuff. So it was just held like this with a bandage wrapped around, you know. When I now went there, I saw a lot of persons without legs, without hands, and I was now looking at myself. I was like, well, I should be thankful, you know, because I know that the enemy always plan evil. And sometimes it looks like the enemy's plan is coming to pass. But one thing I know is that God has a plan for us, and his plan is the master plan. He's the master planner. And so even if the enemy is trying to plan, most times the enemy's plans always look like it's going to come to pass. But God always intervenes, right? And so when I was just looking at them, I was like, maybe the enemy meant this thing to be worse than it was. Maybe he wanted us to die in that accident, but yeah, I should be grateful that even if I had a lot of bruises, if you can see this, that was one of the injury I got during the accident, and they plastered it. It was almost close to my eye. It means I almost got blind, but God saw me through. I had bruises all over and then my hand. And so when I went there, I was just seeing people with different, different problems with their bones and everything. I was like, and God, I'm just thankful, what if mine became like, what if it was more bad than this, more worst, or whatever. So I was just thankful. So before then, I know this is a story and I'm not so good at telling stories, especially in details. I might really forget some part and I'm trying to go back. So before we went to that hospital, before that day, the accident actually happened when my mom came. I remember when when we were just coming back from the school hospital, and she began to sing the song. And till today, whenever I hear that song, whenever I sing that song, I will cry. I will cry because I don't even want to go there. Let's not go there. So whenever I sing that song, it just reminds me of God's faithfulness. It just reminds me of that time that the enemy wanted to take my life at 7. And so that song really makes me cry. This giving glory to the Lord, He reigns. Giving glory to the Lord, He reigns. He reigns, He reigns, He reigns. Giving glory to the Lord, He reigns. So whenever I remember that song, it just takes me back to how God saved me. So after that, we came back from the hospital, and the next day, let me continue. I went to the teaching hospital, the bigger hospital, and I saw different people with different issues. I was like, well, God, thank you. Even if this is happening to me, sometimes when things happen to me, I'm like, God, am I not too small to go through all of this? Just at 7, I'm having this terrible accident. And sometimes I'm like, if at 7 I can get all of this, what will happen when I'm 18? What will happen when... See, my stories are coming. I don't want to get them. So most times I'm like, is this not challenge abuse? Am I not too small to go through all of this? But God always reminds me that the glory that is to come, what we go through cannot be compared to the glory that is to come. So most times I'm like, okay, God, whatever you want me to go through, let me just go through it so long as you bring me out. I made that prayer most times, but most times not intentional, because that prayer is somehow, God, some things I go through, I'm like, God, let this one never come again. I don't even want it. So after the hospital and everything, I could not write for weeks or months because it happened in my right hand, And so when I go to school, most persons wrote for me. Most times I will not try to use my left. I'm not a lefty, and so it was so difficult. Sometimes I'll try to use my left. Sometimes people will just help me and write. I was not taking canes. That was a good part of it, but it's not compared to the pain I was going through. I think I prefer taking the cane than having that kind of pain, But Nigerian schools, right? I think we should stop, flogging. Then, and it was a military school. Then that's coming late to school. It wasn't even teachers that flogged. It was the military men. So you know how bad it was. That's why I'm like, oh, that was a good part of it that I stopped receiving cane. But then I could not carry anything for months. I could not carry anything. The first day I tried to throw something, where we were living then at Port Harcourt, I tried to throw something to somebody who was upstairs, and my hand just hung. My bone. That I don't know how to explain. I don't know. I think it's only if you're going through this you're going to know. When your bone tries to go like this and it's trying to, I don't know how to, but I think it's in a joint, something like that. And so just that was the first time I noticed that my hand now hangs. Like if I'm not so careful, my bone can just shake, whatever. So after that, I stopped training a lot of things. I just stopped doing anything train. I know I do sports in life. I was very good in it. Maybe still now, but it's been very long. But there are some kind of sports I could not do. Anything that involves my hand, throwing, all of that, javelin, blah blah blah, short puts, I couldn't do it. So I went through a lot that time, and I don't want to explain what it took for them to, massaging this hand was terrible. Like, if you ever broken your bone, or if you've ever had a dislocation on your bone, you know what I'm talking about, right? And my own was very worse, and it was close to breaking. That was what they said. But thank God, anyways, thank God. And yeah, in as much as it's been 12 years now, and in as much as sometimes I still have, I know that I'm not that flexible with my hands because of what has happened. And you see, that hanging of bone, it still happens to me sometimes, but I'm still grateful because God has kept me regardless of all of that. God has kept me. I mean, after that, I've had a lot of problems with my bones, like because I do sporting. Sometimes I dislocate a lot of places, and it felt like a normal thing anyway. But this has been the worst of them all. This was the beginning, and it has been the worst. But God has been helping me. God has been seeing me through. Like I'm so grateful that I'm alive today. In as much as the devil planned that would be my end. I mean, from that time I knew that the devil has always planned to take my life, but his plans are always late. His plans are not the master plan, and so it cannot even work out. It can't work out. So when I go through things now, most times God just reminds me of what He saved me from. He saved my soul from, and I become encouraged again. A lot of things I go through now, I'm like, if God could save me when I was just 7, going through those terrible things, then now that I'm whatever age, God can still save me. And I'm not, carried away by my problems. I just look at it as this is God taking me through this process, and He can see me through it. I wouldn't have been talking to you today about this if this did not happen. I wouldn't have. And so I believe that God has a reason. Everything that happens to us, anything God allows, there's a reason for it. There is a reason. So right now I'm just here to encourage a lot of you going through whatever. I had childhood traumas for this accident. I noticed that after the accident I could not cross the road. Most times my mom will hold me to cross, and because I just see a car, I will leave her hand at the middle of the road and come back, and she'll have to come back. It can happen like 3 times just in one day to cross a road. I'm not telling you lies, guys. I went through a lot. I think this was the beginning of fear for me, because I couldn't travel. I had fears traveling. Whenever I see that particular kind of trailer, my mind just keeps. I remember the first time that I traveled with a public vehicle after my accident. I think I was like 9, 10 that time, or like 8. No, maybe 9, 10. And so it was just me, my sister, and my mom. We traveled, and Nigerian bad roads, the car is just trying to bend. I remember that when the car was bending one time, I was like, the blood of Jesus, and everyone was like, people were just laughing at me. I was like, you don't get it. You don't get what I'm going through. You don't get the kind of traumas that I'm going through right now because of that accident I had at just 7 years old. They don't get it. And so I hated anything. I had the fear of accidents. Anytime I get into the road, there was this fear of accident, and God is still taking me through this process. God is still helping me to overcome this, because I'm not going to say that I'm 100% perfect now without the fear of accident, because whenever I get into the road, the memories just come, and if I'm not quick enough to shun it, the thing is that the enemy, whenever he just comes and attack your mind, if you're not quick enough, he's going to run with it. Whatever chance you give to him, he will run with it. So we need to guard our minds. The Bible says renew your mind daily. And so I'm not saying that this has stopped, but I think there's an improvement that I cannot travel alone. I do that a lot of times. I travel alone to school. I come back alone. So God has been helping me. God has been helping me. I know that these traumas one day will be a story. It's already a story, actually. And so to those who are going through one situation, one problem or the other, or if you can relate to what I'm saying, I'm just here to let you know that is not unto death. When Jesus came for Lazarus, when Lazarus was in the grave for like 4 days, and he told the disciples that he's sleeping. People were like, what do you mean? He said, this is not unto death, somebody that is dead already. And so sometimes we're going through situations that look like this is unto death, that look like this is just the end of it. And I'm just here to tell you that God is saying this is not unto death, but it's for His glory. It is for His glory. Let's see this good side of what we go through as for the glory of God, and not the other way around. God loves us so much, and He will not allow anything that will harm you happen to you. He has a reason for everything that happens to our lives. So I hope I've been able to encourage somebody. I don't know, but I've just been having this leading to start sharing my stories here on YouTube with all of you. We are like families now, and I think my stories can encourage you, any of you going through similar things. So thank you for watching this video to the end. Please do well to subscribe, do well to like and share. This video can bless a lot of persons. Do well to share it and subscribe if you've not yet subscribed. Thank you for watching this video to the end. I love you all. See you in my next video.